In December 1929, the quiet town of Ikot Abasi, located in southeastern Nigeria, became the center of one of the most powerful uprisings against British colonial rule, a protest led not by warriors or chiefs, but by women. It would become one of the most iconic events of the Women's War of 1929. The background to the uprising began with the British colonial policy of indirect rule. The British had appointed local warrant chiefs to govern in their stead, but these chiefs were often corrupt and unaccountable. They levied taxes, enforced forced labor, and excluded women from the political process. Tensions had been rising, but the final trigger came when the British administration began conducting a census of women. In local communities, this was interpreted as the first step toward taxing women directly, a violation of tradition, and an additional burden on women who were already overworked as farmers, traders, mothers, and caretakers. The idea of being taxed on their bodies, their possessions, and their livelihoods was unacceptable. The women began organizing. They sent messages through songs, palm fronds, and word of mouth. Thousands of women, primarily from the Ibibio, Efik, and Ogoni ethnic groups, gathered in protest. Their resistance was deliberate, strategic, and deeply cultural. They marched from village to village, converging on key administrative centers like Ikot Abasi. They surrounded native courts, blocked colonial offices, and demanded the removal of the warrant chiefs. At the center of these protests were bold and fearless leaders such as Madam Eka Ita, Madam Adiaha Edom, and others whose names have not been fully preserved in historical records. In a culturally significant and spiritually charged move, many of the women protested bare-chested, an act that, in their tradition, symbolized both a curse and a powerful rejection of male authority. A woman exposing her nakedness in public protest was seen as calling down shame and ancestral judgment on those she confronted. It was not done lightly. It was a declaration of war. On December 14, 1929, a large group of women gathered outside the native court at Ikot Abasi. They sang protest songs, danced, and chanted. They were unarmed, but the colonial officers, panicked by the scale and intensity of the demonstration, called in soldiers. The soldiers opened fire. At least 33 women were killed that day in Ikot Abasi. Some reports suggest the actual number was higher. Among the dead were women whose only weapons had been their voices, their bodies, and their collective courage. The violence at Ikot Abasi sent shockwaves across Nigeria and even reached British newspapers. The colonial government was forced to respond. A commission of inquiry was set up. Many warrant chiefs were removed, and the policy of taxing women was abandoned. Though the women did not achieve every goal they set out for, their uprising became a turning point in Nigeria's colonial history. For the first time, colonial power had been openly and effectively challenged by women. Rural, unarmed, often illiterate women who understood both their cultural strength and their political worth. The Ikot Abasi riots are remembered today not just as a protest, but as a symbol of resistance, dignity, and the unshakable will of Nigerian women to defend their rights and their communities. They were not rebels, they were defenders, and their legacy lives on.
For more videos like this, please like and subscribe to the channel. It will go a long way in supporting me and letting me know you enjoy my videos. Thank you.